Okay, so what are you saying, people, and welcome back to your favorite YouTube channel. So today, guys, like always, another weekly analysis for you. On the screen of the pairs we'll be analyzing today, but make sure you do stay to the end of the video because I do have a bonus pair in store. But yeah, guys, we'll go through my trades of the week first. I do have quite a few trades to report on, I think 4 to report on for the week and carry on from last week as well. And then we'll skip ahead to the actual analysis. So if you want to skip ahead to the analysis, feel free to use the timestamps down below. But yeah, I had 2 positions coming into the week. So one on pound NZD. I only had a small position on this one. I took most of my profit down at this high here because that was the actual target which I gave out to people on the Telegram, which is the main target I took most of my profit at. But I did expect the market to continue based on an analysis on the higher time frames to around 1.96, which was this level here. So I did close that remaining about 10% of my original position up at those highs. So had that position running on from last week and had also pound USD. This is the second trade I took this week, but this was the trade I had running from last week. This one, market reversed from the support and came back and took me out at break even. It was a small win. Price did hit the first TP, so I already secured some partials at this level and went to break even. So I'm happy with that trade. Obviously, it's not full TP, but we'll take the profit and move on to the next one, which was shortly after. Basically just entered the exact same position up at the same level, double topped it, nice rejection on the lower time frames, and got my entry and I've taken profit a couple times with this one. This one's a bit better risk to reward. You can see here 2.71 to around a 1 to 5. So I took took profit a couple times, one into this low and the next one being into this low, which is the previous low, which rejected price on my previous trade. So I've taken profit a couple times, ready break even. So we'll see how this one plans out. Quite a hefty rejection. It might look to take me out of break even. If it does take me out of break even, I'll probably just leave pound USD alone. Again, that's analysis for later in the video. But yeah, those are the current trades, pound USD. And then I hopped into euro pound on Wednesday or Thursday. One of the two, can't remember, one of the 2 days, hopped into euro pound there in some shorts, looking good. Again, with this one taking some profit off the table, coming into this low. I'm currently in break even, holding that over the weekend with end targets back down at that low, simply looking to catch the third drive. Again, euro pound is a pair that we look at, so we'll go into more detail in a second. But those are the current trades I've got running. Or just recent closed, and we're coming into the next week, which is, again, it's looking okay. I'm not really seeing too many great opportunities. We'll discuss in a second. But yeah, firstly, onto EURUSD. So EURUSD still bearish bias. This one's getting a little bit choppy. I mean, I've said that quite a while now, so it is still pretty choppy. But I'm still looking for price to return to this prior low here. Typically, when we see price break out of ascending channels and descending channels, we do have a quite high probability that the market returns to the most recent swing low or swing high. In this case, would be the most recent swing low because we've got a bullish structure. So when we do break out these channels, typically we do come and retest that prior low. However, this time we have kind of just missed it. So I'm expecting price essentially either to have a crazy reversal or just probably roll over, find some resistance somewhere and come back into these lows. So I'm still bearish on the EURUSD. You can see since we've broken out of this bullish structure and that ascending channel, breaking that support, market's been printing lower lows and lower highs, being quite corrective, but the structure is still there. So with EURUSD, I'm looking at another push to the upside since we did fail to push back down. Entries up around 1.06800 look good for some shorts. Also retesting that structure and also that price support level there as well. So for me, for EURUSD, I'm not entirely keen to trade it. I'll see how price, materializes at that entry. If I get a good entry, I may look to take it, and the risk reward is good, I may look to take it. But in terms of targets and direction, I'm definitely bearish bias because of the structure, and I'm expecting price to return to those lows as long as we can hold this structure here at 1.06700. So that's the only kind of real level I'm looking at. There are some smaller levels here, but that's the only place where you get a good stop loss and good risk reward. From my analysis anyway for EURUSD. So keeping on that level there, we're still seeing the lower highs being respected. Price did push through. I'm just looking at this as a bigger correction. We might double top it and then work our way back down there again. All your targets can be this low here as well. Depends how far you want to push the trade, or even that low as well. So it's up to you how you want to manage your trade from that respect, but I'm expecting more downside. My area of interest is around that level at 1.06773. Still performing these consecutive low lows and low highs. So looking for that structure to continue until it breaks, and targets will be into that prior low there at 1.0495 for next week for EURUSD. Okay, so over to USD JPY. So USD JPY for this one's getting quite corrective now. I'm not really looking to buy the market anymore. We were seeing some really good structure down here. Never really got into a trade. I remember I was hyping up the JPY pairs maybe a couple of weeks ago. Never actually managed to place a trade because I didn't see the retracement I wanted. And it's not looking too good anymore. Sure, we have seen some momentum here, but it's getting quite corrective now. And the market's kind of getting into this kind of tightly knit channel here, which again is not really what I'm gonna be seeing. This is a sign that the market's starting to run out of steam, it's getting corrective, and we could be looking at a potential downside move here for USD JPY. It hasn't quite hit my target. I was looking for price to come into this level here. We had really nice rejections of support, resistance, 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 resistance. You guys can get the picture. Really key level here at 137.5, 138. So I was looking for price to go and kiss that level. It came pretty close, to be honest. Again, the market is not perfect. But what would interest me for USD JPY is if we can start breaking through some structure now to the downside, get some really nice impulsive moves. I'll actually be glad to catch that next lower high to go back down, because this kind of tightly knit market, sure, you might get some trades on the low time frames, you know, some 50 pip buys back to high, something like that. But as an intra-week swing trader, I'm looking for a bit more of a swing than that. So I want to see price actually start breaking some lows here. The fact that we are tied as well kind of feeds into that idea. And if you can start breaking through some lows, I'll be more than happy to look for some lower highs to short this back down, potentially back some of these lows here. Again, nothing too crazy. So for USD JPY, even though the market structure is still up, we're still seeing higher highs and higher lows. It's not really favorable for me to be looking for some entries. On the lower time frames, like I said, you might get some 50, 60 pips back to highs sort of trades here, because the market is still respecting this trend line here, and we are still seeing higher highs and higher lows. Quite frankly, you might see a bouncing at this support level. But for me, I'll be looking to see if we can actually break through some structure here. Most importantly, this low here at 134.500. Break through that, and I'll look for some corrections to short it back down, either a retest of that zone or a retest of this zone, depending how far and how we break out of it. If it's just a small breakout, we'll be looking at the retest at this level. If we get some really nice momentum, now consider shorting around 134.500 on the retest of that low. So with USD JPY, it's more hypothetical because current structure is still bullish, but I'm just not seeing good opportunities to buy. And the fact that we are quite corrective tells me that we could be looking at a downside move pretty soon. And that downside move will probably interest me if we can get some really good momentum coming into the markets. We might go and kiss that level one more time before having the drop. So we might see one more swing to the upside. So like I said, on the low time frames, it might be a short-term buy opportunity still. But when we start breaking through some structure, that's when my eyes will start to light up for USD JPY again. So for me, I'm looking at shorts, targets. It depends on the risk reward and the setup. These will probably be the two areas that I'll look at. Probably won't push it too further than that, because USD JPY still might be on a bigger bullish move, but it might just want to have a deeper correction for now. So yeah, this is the structure I'm looking at. Again, this might not set up this week. It may potentially do, but this is the best opportunity I've got going into next week. On the lower time frames, there might be some nice buys, so keep a look out on 135.752. But this is the setup that I'll be keeping an eye on for USD JPY for next week. Okay, so onto USD CAD. USD CAD, I'm still bullish on this pair. We're still seeing higher highs and higher lows. We were getting some really nice trending market structure here. As you can see, some healthy corrections and good momentum. However, most of this week has basically been consolidation. So still bullish on USD CAD. I did give out some levels for some buys, and this is one of the levels I was talking about. I also was talking about this level here as well on my weekly analysis last week. Did see a brief bounce to the upside, didn't quite hit the target I gave out. I was talking about price coming back into the resistance here, around 1.37. Didn't quite see 1.37. We came into the highs, start to reject it, and since then we've been consolidating. So with USD CAD, I'm no longer interested in this level anymore. I know we're still holding at support, but this consolidation is not a good sign. The fact that we've had numerous rejections at these highs, you know, it's more of a range-bound market. If you're looking for a range, you've got one over there. But for me, I'm looking for some nice, healthy market swings in the direction of higher time frames. And I know the higher time frames are still bullish here for USD CAD. Has been slowing down since this kind of climatic move to the upside, but we are still pretty consistent with these higher lows. Even formed another one here, so I'm still looking at buys until that structure starts to break. So I'm going to be focused on the second level I gave out last week, which is 1.345. Hopefully we can have a bit of a fake move to the downside, test the support, and then get the buys, because we know people will be looking to, you know, buy and sell in here. There'll be stops above here, the stops below there of people, buying, selling the range. Potentially could get a breakout to the downside, go collect some more buyers, fake some people, and then we could see the bigger move to the upside, retesting such a key level of structure. And we do have a really nice fib confidence coming in there, around 50% there as well. So the USD CAD still bullish on this one. I do like the structure, but it's getting quite corrective in here. So this is not really interesting me anymore. So we'll be looking to see if we can get a deeper retracement back down to 1.34500, which is again the second level I gave out last week. And yeah, still looking for buy. So if I can get some good rejection around here, targets, I probably won't push to 1.37. Just keep it back to that resistance there. That's where the market has effectively been sent down from. So going to push it back to where we came from, around 1.365. So that's the plan for USD CAD. Nothing too crazy. First, hopefully we can get moved to the downside first, and then we'll be looking at buys back up again, exactly where we came from, into that resistance. So yeah, that's the plan going into next week for USD CAD. Okay, so over to Euro Pound. So Euro Pound, we had a bearish bias coming into this week, looking for some downside. I was talking about a retest of this structure here, looking for a third lower high and then the rollover, which is effectively what happened. We did push a little bit higher than expected. We did come and tap into this high of the trend line here. I originally had the trend line using the bodies, but the market came into the wick of the trend line and retested a zone slightly higher up at the zone. So I had to be a bit reactive to catch the trade. But yeah, effectively we're looking at a retest of this zone here, potentially the third lower high. We've got the first one over there, second, so we're looking at a third, and if that is the third lower high, we expect the market to come and retest the lows, potentially form new lows as well. This is obviously proving to be a strong level of support here at 0.876. Big rally to the upside, big impulsive move there as well. So this is where we're looking for Euro Pound to come back and retest. So if you're looking to get into this opportunity, as long as we stay below this structure, so if Euro Pound suddenly does something like this, then I will scrap my bias, reanalyze the pair and go from there. But as long as we don't break through this high next week, I'm looking at more downside. So there's two opportunities you can look at: a retest of the consolidation, because price was consolidating here for quite a bit. So we might get a nice little retest of the structure and then the drop, which actually could give you a really nice risk to rewards if you get an entry around there on the lower time frames, hourly, 30 minutes, stop loss above the zone, target back down there. Or we could come up and double top the zone and then drop. So that could also be another opportunity to look at if this original zone doesn't hold. But like I said, as long as we're below this, the opportunity is still valid. If we start breaking through, then yeah, probably going to the upside back to these eyes here, and actually a retest of that structure might actually be a good buying opportunity. We'll obviously have to analyze if that happens, but that's probably what I'll be looking at if we were to break through these highs. So yeah, Euro Pound, love the lower highs. I'm liking the structure, big kind of climatic move to the upside again, grabbing a lot of people's attention on the way up, and then we're basically looking for the market to come straight back down again. So 0.88600, 0.88600, and also 0.88900 are the zones we're looking at. Short bias and targets back down to those lows at 0.876 for next week. Okay, so over to AUDUSD. So AUDUSD, not much this week. Basic consolidation, similar to USD CAD, and yeah, similar to USD CAD, market consolidating. Was a big fan coming into the week of AUDUSD. We were seeing some really nice lower lows and lower highs. If I whip out this trend line, you can kind of see them kind of matching up together. First over there, then we broke through some structure of this strong impulse, then lower high, then lower high. So again, we're expecting the lower high to form for more downside. Didn't quite see that. The lower highs are still intact, so the structure is still there. However, not really seeing the momentum come back anymore. We could potentially see price double top and then push to the downside. That is a possible opportunity there. I wouldn't say it's a very high probability opportunity because the market is quite choppy, it's moving sideways. It's a sign that momentum is starting to deplete, which could mean a deeper retracement for AUDUSD. So it's nothing that I really want to go short on. Sure, it might see some downside, but you run the risk of market coming back down, finding support here again, and then coming back up against you. So again, if you're looking to trade a range bound market, take advantage of some short-term buys and sells, AUDUSD could look good here, selling around 0.67, 600. You might catch a short-term trade to the downside. but ideally you want to be taking your profit there and not being too optimistic with another drive to the downside. Could happen, but the market is getting quite tired now, hence the consolidation. So AUSD, I want to see a deeper retracement for this one. This is still a very, very big level, which I know has not been retested yet. And normally when you get key levels like this, they normally retested all the time. So resistance like this, resistance like that, support, support, support. This is a very, very, very key level, which has proven to be something AUSD has been coming back to retest numerous times over the past few weeks, months. So I'm looking to see if we can get a bigger pullback into this zone here, and it also does line up with the 50% of this Fibonacci level. As you can see from the high to the low, well, just a little bit higher than 50% in between the 0.618 and the 50. Looking to see if we can get a bigger retracement into this zone here, and then potentially get a bigger reversal back down again. Like I said, market's a little bit tired now, so I don't really want to be shorting down at those lows. I want the market to see a little bit of light to the upside, collect some buys, on the way up, liquidity, and then potentially form that next major low high to come back down again. So I'm still looking at the higher time frames for AUSD. I'm still looking at this longer term downtrend. I'm still expecting us to return to these lows here. So what I'm looking for is a bigger pullback to continue on this bearish journey here. Again, my analysis could be wrong in the higher time frames, but that's just where I'm getting that kind of overall bearish bias from. So yeah, looking at a pullback for this one, my main kind of area of interest, 0.68613. Like I said, there might be some short-term sells there. This is the only opportunity that looks good to me, and again, targets, keep it simple, back down into the prior low. So yeah, that's what I'm looking at for AUSD going into next week. Okay, so over to NZD CAD. So NZD CAD this week, big push to the upside, finally climbing back above this prior low here on the left. I'm still looking at the bigger structure here for NZD CAD, connecting these major swing highs here. So we've got the first one, second one, I'm looking at potentially a third one forming for, again, another drop to the downside. Price coming into these areas, seeing some nice rejection, and then potentially we can look to sell off back down again. So for NZD CAD, I'm still bearish bias, but there might be some short-term buying opportunities since we have climbed back above this level. We have been very, very corrective since breaking through this low. Typically when we see that, we normally expect the market to come back to life to the upside. Again, this type of pattern of strong impulse, corrective downside, we normally expect the market to snap back bullish in the opposite direction. And that's what we've done here, and now we're back above the support. So it's a little bit of aggressive trade, but it does make sense because we have broken structure on the left, seeing a new high, market's back above key level support. If we can hold this support there on Monday, I do think there'll be some good buys early on in the week, then potentially just short it back down later on if we can get some good rejection around those areas and some good confirmation. So with NZD CAD, I'm more focusing on the buys here, but I do think there could be some good short-term long opportunities back to the area where I'm looking to sell it from, and then we can see what happens up around here and get some good trades. Hopefully we can get some good rejection. So yeah, that's the plan for NZD CAD, some short-term buys to the upside into 0.85500, we'll call it. But yeah, buys from 0.84400, 4455. So yeah, some short-term buys back up again to sell it. Again, I'm more focused on this, so I won't be looking to take part in this move. But the structure does look good, and if you can get decent risk rewards, you can even trade just back to that high there on the left. Keep it simple. But yeah, that's the plan for NZD CAD. Looking for some shorts up high. Hopefully you can get some pullbacks into that level, and then yeah, targets back down at the prior low at 0.835 for next week. Okay, so over to pound NZD. So pound NZD, we are looking at some downsides. We had some really good upside this week, smashing into 1.96, which was this big level over here, and then from there we crashed to the downside and actually broken through some structure here, taking out that low. As you can see, we have strong momentum, so I'm actually expecting some downside now for pound NZD, breaking through structure, big kind of climatic move to the upside, expecting some retracement and the move back down again. And the area that I'm focused on is this area here, brief support for the market. You can see with that doji before it collapsed to the downside. On the low time frames, it's a bit more evident, as you can see there, the pullback and the move to the downside on the hourly. Coming into this zone here, it sort of lines up with the high there on the left, coming into that Fibonacci level between 0.5 and 0.618. So around here, I'll be looking to see if we can get some good structure, some good rejections around there, and look for some entry confirmations for a move back down again, because I am expecting, now we've had that impulse break of structure, I'm expecting a lower high to form. up around these areas around 1.945. Targets, keep it simple, depends on the risk reward. If it's good, 1 to 3, 1 to 2.5, may just push it into the low there, because this is still a pretty significant level. As we can see on the left, a really strong resistance. In fact, I did say some buys will be good here this week if we had that pullback. Well, we didn't. We just kind of flew to the upside. So yeah, that level there, 1.92, is still definitely a strong level. Probably will be a good level just to put your TP out, take your partials, and start managing your trade there at least. If you want to push it further, there's obviously some lows here, but 1.92 is definitely an important level, so keep an eye out for that. So yeah, pound is decent. We've got that break structure on the left. I'm looking for the first lower high of this this impulsive move. Got some good confidence there around 1.945. We'll monitor price action, see if we can get some good confirmations, and we'll be looking at shorts basically to where we came from, 1.92, and then if we can break through, we can start looking at these lows further for next week. Okay, so now on to CAD Yen. So CAD Yen, a little bit corrective, similar to USD JPY. We are having some really nice bullish structure, but since then, again, we're kind of getting this corrective move to the upside, which is, again, it's not a healthy sign. You don't really want to be seeing that in your healthy markets. This was good, strong impulse moves, good correction, big strong impulse moves. However, now we're getting longer correctional phases and not really impulsive movements to the upside anymore. In fact, this last bullish move here didn't actually even create new highs. So it's not looking good for CAD Yen. And even though the market structure is still bullish, we're still seeing higher highs and higher lows. I'm not really interested in looking to short the market anymore. This was the kind of level, the target I gave out this week, which the market just about tapped into around 101. So from there, if you can start breaking through some structure like USD JPY, I'll be more than happy to look for that first lower high to start shorting. In fact, this already could be the second lower high from that one. If we break structure on this down move, that would actually be very, very nice indeed. And I'll start looking for some retest of these structure lows here, around 99,500, even this low here, depending how we break out. If it's a strong, big move, now I'll look at this level. If it's a bit weaker, I'll be looking at this low here at 99,500. But yeah, it's the same pattern though. It's the same pattern, looking for the break to the downside, the break of the structure, pull back into one of those two levels. And then yeah, looking for some shorts to the downside. And targets, there's quite a few targets we can look at. We've got this level here, really strong resistance. That probably will be the target actually. There's a lot of rejection around there. You can also look at the support there and the support there, but it's probably a bit more sensible just to target that level and call it quits. So yeah, CAD Yen for me, I'm looking at shorts. Again, the structure's not there yet. The market is still bullish. We're still seeing higher highs and higher lows. And in fact, we could still see another swing to the upside and new highs created. But I need to see some really strong momentum if I'm going to get back into some buys. If it's still corrective, I'm just going to be waiting for my sell opportunity. I may have to wait a little bit longer. That's still kind of the best opportunity I can see for CAD Yen. And all these kind of lower time frame buys, again, don't get me wrong, they're still good, but they're just short term. And for the kind of trade that I'm looking for the amount of pips I'm looking for, I'm looking for bigger moves than that. So I'm kind of waiting for the reversal, and hopefully we can get some bigger moves from that idea. So that's the plan for CAD Yen. Hopefully we can get a break of structure, similar to USD JPY as well. Looking for some pullbacks into 99,267 and also 99,529. And targets most likely will just be at 98. Keep it simple into that key level there for next week. Okay, so on to Pound USD. So Pound USD, like I said earlier in the video, I'm not really too much of a fan anymore of Pound USD. I'm still actually in the trade from it, so I'll still manage that trade accordingly. But Pound USD, again, I was expecting those lows to snap there, and the fact that we are still respecting them and still seeing pretty aggressive bounces, just tells me that we just got that big consolidation and it's still continuing. So with Pound USD, I still do think we can get to these levels, but obviously that level has to snap there first, around 1.19500. So aggressive sell opportunity, we'll be looking around these parts here. We do have a bit of a level here. The market hasn't really been respecting it much, which is why I'm saying it's aggressive. Although yes, it was a valid level of support, we haven't really been showing too much respect lately. So who's to say we're going to show respect to that level now? I mean, you can look for some confirmations, but again, it might not be the best level. Targets will have to be at this support there, and then you can start to push it lower if you want to. Or you can wait for a bigger move to the upside back to these highs here. I'm not really too interested, to be honest, because at that point we've got 3 retests of this level and 3 retests of that resistance. That is, it's 100% a range bound market. and we're not really seeing good momentum anymore like we did here on the left. Really nice momentum there. Did see some nice momentum not too long ago, but now we're getting these kind of corrective moves to the downside, which is not a good sign for pound USD, for the bears anyway. So this is kind of the only opportunities that I can see for pound USD. It's not probably going to be on my watch list next week. Obviously, I'll manage my trade and see that trade through. If it does start falling, happy days. If it takes me out break even, we're still taking some partial, so it still will be a small win. But in terms of looking to get back into any trades for pound USD, even if I do get taken out break even, I probably won't be looking to get into this one. There are other pairs that look a little bit better. But if you're keen to trade pound USD, these are the best setups that I can see for myself until we get some more price action and some better setup to develop. Again, key target, since the market has respected this 3 times now, 1.192 does look very good. And if you can break through that, then we've got 1.185 down there as well. But that's the plan next week for pound USD. Okay, so over to pound CAD. So pound CAD this week, really nice rejection of this key trend line here, connecting those lower highs. We've got this kind of wedge pattern here building up on the 4H time frame. If you zoom out, look at the bigger structure here. We've got a key level of support here, equal lows, and we've also got these lower highs, 1, 2, and potentially 3 there as well. We haven't quite retested the support level yet, so we still could potentially see some more upside. But nonetheless, when we do come to these areas up here, we are looking for some short opportunities. We have a little bit of a head and shoulder here, left head, a potential right shoulder pattern forming. So some shorts up at this level here, 1.64250, do look good to go back down again. So if you can get some good rejections around there, I do think we can probably find some decent short opportunities. We'll push back down into this low here. And then, if you want to push it further, 1.61 does make sense as well. Obviously, we're starting to respect this low, so it's a good idea to at least secure partials there, or better yet, just take your profit there and move on to the next trade. But yeah, this is the plan I've got for NZD CAD, pound CAD. I keep calling it NZD CAD. This is the plan I've got for pound CAD. We've kind of got this big wedge pattern, which I expect price to keep fluctuating between these 2 areas until eventually we get the breakout, either to the upside or to the downside. I'm not really here to predict which way. Whichever way we go, we can always trade it up or down, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, this is the best setup I can see for now for pound CAD. If we start breaking through the highs next week, we'll see if that momentum can sustain. If it does, we'll look for some corrections and we'll buy it back up to these respective highs on the left there. But we have to break through the high first. So yeah, that's the plan going into next week. We'll keep an eye on 1.64250, target 1, 1.625, target 2, 1.61. For pound CAD. Okay, so on to pound yen. So pound yen, I still like pound yen. I'm still seeing some good upside with this one, some really nice impulsive moves. Was pretty strong rejection there to the upside, but the structure is still holding with higher highs and higher lows. So I still do like the buys, but I do want the market to come down a little bit deeper into this prior high here. We do have these higher lows if I connect with that trend line, and we do have the 0.786 Fibonacci level there as well. So I'm looking for one more push to the downside. There will be some people buying here with some stop losses just below into this kind of consolidation there. So I'm looking to see one more drive to the downside, liquidate the stops underneath here. If we can get a good confirmation, there's some strong signals to go long on the hourly time frame, I'm more than happy to take the trade. And target wise, I wouldn't be too greedy. Again, realistically, or I should say idealistically, you'd be looking for price to come back to the structural high, which is all the way up here, 165, 166 we'll call it. But based on how the structure is moving and based on that prior rejection there, I may look to take my profit earlier if I can get some good risk reward even into this high here. Sometimes with pound yen, it can get a little bit of a smaller entry on the hourly. So if the risk reward allows it, I may look just to exit the trade here at 163,500. If not, I may just target this high here and then maybe leave some more amounts to trickle to see if we go back to the resistance up there at 166. But pound yen, I still do like the structure. Even though some of the yen pairs look like they could be ready for a reversal, pound yen is still giving me some really good impulsive moves to the upside and really following through that momentum. So looking for one more push to the downside, see if you can get some good entries here, and then looking for a move to the upside. And again, target 1, 163,500, target 2, 164,500, and we got the last target there at 166. So that's the plan for next week for pound yen. You can see the higher highs still higher lows, sorry, is still very, very consistent. So for me, the structure is still very high probability. You just need to wait on a good entry signal to validate the setup. So that's the plan for next week for pound yen. Okay, so now on to gold. So gold has seen some nice upside. Again, we've been speaking about 1800 to 1810, a very, very nice key level, and the market is reacting from that. And as you can see on the weekly time frame, a really nice bullish engulfing. So I'm looking for some more upside again next week for gold. And the fact that we are starting to break through some structure is a good sign. You can see here, lower high, lower high, lower high. Now the market's actually broken through that structure with a strong impulse just before the weekly candle actually closed there. So with gold, I'm actually looking for a really nice head and shoulder pattern here, or inverse head and shoulder, I should say. Something like this to develop, and looking for some pullbacks into this level here. Good fib confluence off the double bottom here. So you can see here, market formed support once. Again, really nice push to the upside. It was a little bit corrective, but then price gained some momentum towards the end of the week, which is, oh, did not mean to do that, which is what I wanted to see. So for me, gold, this is doing exactly what I wanted. I was speaking on my streams quite a lot this week about, I was saying I wasn't really too happy with the price action. I'm looking for the reversal, but I need price to start breaking through some highs first and gaining some good momentum. That's pretty much what gold has given me. So on some pullbacks down to 1824, I'll be more than happy to go long. It's a little bit shallow of a retracement for a retest of 1845. If price can really start ripping to the upside a little bit more, then I will look for the retest of this level here, which is 1845. So I will map out a level there, because I will be more than happy to go along there if we can start clearing a little bit further. It's a little bit too early to say price will do that, but if it looks good, I will look for entries there. But at the moment, this is the only valid setup that I would take if the market can retrace, keeping that inverse head and shoulder, retest that level, and then I'll look to go long from there. And targets, I'll probably look to the start of the kind of corrective pattern, which is back at this high here at 188.4. 1884, yeah, confused myself there. So 1884, we'll look at the targets. So yeah, that's the plan for gold. Bullish buys for this one, breaking structure, reacts with a key weekly level, bullish engulfing on the weekly. Expect that momentum to continue. If it does push through a lot further, then I will look at the retest of 1845. If not, then I'll be looking at 1824, 1826 for my long opportunities. And targets for the week are looking at 1880 up there. Okay, so over to Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, we've seen some really nice downside, which is what we were expecting. The market was retesting 25K, back at those highs there, throwing so many wicks there to the upside. So we're expecting to see some decline. And I said there will be some nice buys coming back into here, or I expect there to be some nice buys, not that there will be. And yeah, we're coming to that zone right now. So if Bitcoin can start to hold this level and see some momentum on the lower time frames, and by low I mean 4H, not really lower than that. Right now, we're kind of just consolidating and not really seeing much for Bitcoin. But if we can see a strong push to the upside, some more wick rejections, I do think we can get some nice short-term buy opportunities to the upside for Bitcoin here. And targets back into this consolidation here. And then maybe for lucky, we can push it back into 24, 25K up at that resistance. But for Bitcoin, we're kind of getting this kind of squeeze in this kind of channel here. So I do think eventually we either push to the upside into 30K, or break to the downside, take out some key lows, and probably head back down to these lows here. So we're kind of looking at price kind of just building up in this kind of consolidation, but we can probably take advantage of some short-term buy opportunities in this area. So keep an eye on 22,300, 22,500, which is where price is trading now. If we can see some good momentum come back in, I do think there'll be some good buys, at least back into that consolidation, and then maybe for lucky back into that resistance up there. If we start breaking through some structure to the downside, then we're just going to get the breakout there. Then we'll look at for some lower highs, maybe a retest of that structure actually could provide some nice entries. And then yeah, back down to this area, all the way down there. So that's kind of the overall plan for Bitcoin. But first, we might see some short-term buy opportunities, which you can take advantage of on the 4H time frame. I probably wouldn't go lower than that for Bitcoin. Most of my analysis anyway is on the daily for Bitcoin anyway. So yeah, that's kind of my analysis for Bitcoin. Some short-term buys, and then we might see price double top it here, but we can come back down again. But yeah, if we can hold 22,500, see some momentum, could be looking at a good push to the upside for Bitcoin next week. And last but not least, we've got our bonus pair, which is NZD JPY for this week. Have been bashing the yen pairs a little bit, but I do like the structure I'm seeing on NZD JPY. I was hoping for a stronger daily close above these highs, but nonetheless, it's still a decent opportunity. We're still seeing some consecutive higher lows here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're looking for a fifth one. Retesting some structure here, 84,200. I really do like the momentum here. You can see really nice impulse momentum. We are seeing kind of over-exaggerated kind of corrective phases for this one, but it's a good sign because we are still seeing good bullish momentum in between that. So we're looking for another retracement phase, which is what price is doing right now, and looking for a push back to highs. Nothing too crazy for NZD JPY, since we do have some key levels of structure here on the left, which could topple price over. So for NZD JPY, I'm still definitely a bull in this market. We've got some really nice higher lows and higher highs, and some good confluence here with the trend line, with the Fibonacci level and that key level resistance. All we need to see is some good price action, some good confirmations in this area, and we can look at some short-term longs. I'll probably just look for a push back to the highs. If I can get 1 to 3, 1 to 4, more than happy to take my profit there and just move on to the next opportunity. So yeah, NZD JPY bullish bias for this one. The structure isn't that great. It's a little bit choppy, but we are still seeing impulsive moves and really nice corrective retracement, which is the key thing we're looking at in the behavior of the market, and the fact that we recently had a big break to the upside, taking out a lot of key highs here on the left here. It does show us that the buyers are stepping in control. So we're just basically looking to keep that momentum alive. If we can see some good sign of rejection around those areas, 84,250 is where my eyes are glued towards, and then targets naturally back to the highs there where we came from. So yeah, guys, that is the analysis for the week. We've gone through a bunch of pairs, and NZD JPY is the bonus pair. Will be on my watch list going into next week. Make sure you are on the Telegram, because I do give out my watch list every single week for the top 5 pairs of the week. So make sure you go and check that out as well. Links in the description to that. But thank you so much for watching the video, guys. If you have been enjoying the content, please be sure to leave a like, subscribe if you haven't done already as well. Hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. But thank you so much for watching the video, guys. Take care and have a great weekend.